Welcome to the podcast. That was post-production. I didn't just repeat that myself the entire time. Yeah. That was fantastic. Welcome to the Scale is Needed podcast, folks.
Yay.
Scale is Needed. We made it to double digits. This is number 11.
Woo!
Fantastic.
But you double digits for the previous one with 10, though, isn't that it?
Yeah, but we forgot to mark it.
Yeah. We didn't mark. We didn't like say, "Hey, welcome to double digits" back then.
Okay.
But we made it to double digits. This is number 11. That was not a false statement.
Yep.
That was a true statement that I had. That you're just shitting all over Clifford Bogart the third. Anyway,
Clifford Joseph Bogart the third. I need all the names in there.
All the names.
CJ Bogart.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, CJ.
That's his name.
That's my name.
We grew up as CJ.
I believe it.
Yeah.
No, my entire family refers to him as CJ. I refer to him as CJ when I'm not in the office. He's just CJ.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
he's just CJ.
that is my name growing up amongst the family.
All right, we're going with CJ from now on.
No,
CJ.
that's the family name. You're not in
well,
the family.
I found out about
He's
it.
in the family now.
I invented it.
Uh-huh.
I did invent it right there.
Our family just got 2% fitter.
That's all I brought the fitness up. Like, how fit is your family
More
already?
money.
Actually, you might.
It's a very large
I'd
Catholic
say
family, so you're only. It's really
you are
dissolved.
by far fitter than anyone I know in my entire extended family on either side. There, I'd say by a significant margin.
Nice.
All just working our way towards diabetes.
Yes, I know. On most side, and I love my family very much, but yeah, we do come from both a Italian family on one side and a Cajun family on the other side that are it's just all just rice and pasta and heart disease.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so
except
that's
for the heart disease part. I mean, that's a bummer.
So that's our fitness baseline that we're coming out of. Genetically, Cliff and I are both like two morbidly obese people who are kind of bald and kind of dead of a heart attack at 38. So we are fighting hard.
Now, everything I eat like a pre-contest bodybuilder now, all so as not to be a 500, 600 pound shut-in.
Yep.
600 pound shut-in. I think I'd be 600 pounds had I not been dieting like crazy since I was 22-ish.
Yeah, that's what we need. Is we need more advice on diets from people who have this genetic makeup. Like that's the person I want to listen to.
The advice of a congenitally skinny person on diet is completely useless. There.
How successful would you say you are, though?
What it's successful in what sense?
At your diets.
Well, I eat way better than I would say 90% of the population in terms of just eating often less, cleaner, no refined carbohydrates, all sorts of shit, just so I can still be kind of fat, And so, and I think that I have useful, like no one will listen to Cliff or I about advice on diet because, of course, we don't look like we give a shit at all based on our physique and
but based on, if you have a person
we do not have aspirational bodies.
Exactly. But that's the problem is that people take diet and fitness advice from people who have always had six packs and would have six packs regardless of what they eat.
So
we work in an office full of lots of former athletes, and these people just chug Mountain Dews all day and Monsters, and
I can attest to that.
Just refined carbs constantly. They all look fairly fit. Never ask any of them about a diet.
No, the track and wrestling guys are the most unhealthy human beings I've ever had to work with.
And yet, if you were to if any one of the
track
people, if you line them up, exactly, and if any one of those people,
them out of a fucking lineup,
exactly. And yet, if you're maybe a slightly pudgy person and you're looking for someone to give you advice, would you ask us, Cliff and I, or would you ask one of them what they're eating? You would ask one of them because look, he's all skinny and fit and whatnot.
So you would say that like the fact that you guys are able to keep like a 70-30, 75-25, 80-20 on like a good week split makes you better at offering more useful real-world nutritional advice.
There's no diet advice. You should not trust diet advice from anyone who was not at one point fat. Yeah. We know how no personal experience is relevant unless you at one point were fat.
Because we know how to keep the horde at bay. These people have been off kind of living on a desert island. They don't know how to fight. They don't know, we know, I have filed my teeth down to sharp points. I can keep the fat monster at bay. I'm all just, gumption and skill. I know how to I know how to do that thing. Whereas if you like flip on Good Morning America, they will say like, "Oh, this is what Kate Middleton eats every morning, and what you should eat every morning too if you want to look like Kate Middleton." A bunch of fruit and oatmeal, and then she has a pasta salad for lunch. It's like Kate Middleton could eat cake 25 hours a day, and she would still look like Kate Middleton because she's never, ever, ever been fat. Even
the Duchess of Hotness.
The Duchess of Hotness.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I feel like I fall into a similar category because
I've seen earlier pictures.
You've seen my before picture. Yeah, exactly. My before picture was like fucking college, bro.
Yeah. That said, even when I was in college, even when I was in high school, I was already in the morbidly obese range there.
Yeah.
So I had way worse. But you actually have had to fight the good fight and have succeeded so far.
Yes.
So your diet, the before picture you can show gives you credibility.
But what I hate is honestly when I'll see the before and after CrossFit pictures, or you read the interviews or whatever, and like there's that pudgy guy, and I'm like, hey, this guy looks like me, and then he's all ripped. I'm like, what did he do? But his version of pudgy was like, I ate McDonald's 4 times a day. I only drank Coca-Cola from morning, noon, and night. I never exercised, and I did that. And that's what he had to do to look the way that I look right now.
When I'm actually
trying hard. And then it's like, so all I did was cut down to McDonald's only once a day, and then I only have 2 Cokes, and then I have a salad every Friday. And then all of a sudden I lost 70 pounds and have a 6-pack like I did when I was 19. And I'm like, okay, well, fuck off.
Yeah, I think there's definitely and here's like the coach in me coming out is like there's this idea that everyone is on a level playing field, and hey, guess what? That's not at all the case, not even close, because that's just not the way humanity works. Like life has plenty of variation, and people come at things with different backgrounds and different abilities and different ceilings and everything. So,
it's interesting because that provides it. Also, there are certain advantages to being, not many, but certain advantages to being born the way that Cliff and I were in terms of how easily fat
you stay
gets
warm
put on.
during winter.
Yeah, stay warm during winter.
Can float if we're on the Titanic.
I'm highly valued in Asian cultures just because of my mass. No, but I remember because I have a friend. We all have a buddy, Daniel and Cliff and I, who is one of those just congenitally skinny people. So he can eat whatever the fuck he wants. He can drink whatever the fuck he wants, and he doesn't put on 1 ounce of fat. And as a result, he has the most unhealthy lifestyle of anyone I have ever met. Like, smokes like a chimney, eats burgers and just eats just fast food and like crackers. Like he'll post to like he said, like, I'm really into cooking now, and so like his cooking was essentially just like making a big thing of bacon and cornbread and just eating like an entire cast iron skillet full of cornbread while smoking cigarettes and drinking at the same time. So he has that kind of a lifestyle. Again, but the thing is, I probably would have had that lifestyle too, except because I was skinny growing up, and then all of a sudden, boom, that just stopped. And so that I course corrected. He never course corrected at any point, so he just has,
because the universe never slapped him upside the head.
Never slapped him in the face, exactly. Huh. And so,
whereas by contrast, I was one of those kids that was fat from the time he could walk and never was not fat. Yeah. And my parents, when I was young, said, well, it's just baby fat. That'll disappear eventually. But it kept growing and growing and growing and never stopped growing.
Yes, and that's the thing but the thing is, now at this point, when I'm the same age as this friend, as a 31-year-old man now, I'm a pretty healthy 31-year-old man. I wish I were thinner, but I exercise regularly. I know how to control my diet. I'm doing all sorts of shit.
You know what a good diet is.
I know what a good diet is. Whereas he, at this point, suddenly at age 30, looks like he's I'm going to say this because I know he'll never hear this podcast, and I swear to God, Daniel, if you ever tip him off that I said anything, I'll fucking murder you. But but he looks like he is falling the fuck apart. He looks like he's about, now he was a really healthy looking guy all through his 20s. At 31 now, he looks like he is about 46. Like, the hair's starting to fall out, lines in the face, teeth are all weird, just like all the miles he put on his body with that level of just diet and exercise. It's just,
what's his social media handle?
Oh man, I know it. I know it, but it really looks, it's not a good situation. And so ultimately, I kind of, I kind of am starting to outpace him even at 31. Well, to say nothing of 51.
That's the key, right? Because if you look at it in the long term and you look at it on the long game, you're gonna be at 50. You're gonna look like you're 38, or you're gonna look like you're 42, as opposed to at 50 you're gonna look like you're 108
76.
years old.
And at 50 you're gonna
look like Gollum.
Yeah, like the leathery yellowed skin and fucked up teeth is not a good look. Just because you want to have Jack in the Box 4 meals a day for your entire 20s and 30s, that doesn't really justify ruining your entire life.
That said, I guarantee you with 100% certainty, if I could get away with eating like that and not be fat, I would definitely be doing that.
Yeah, I think anybody would.
I don't think it's not consciously, but I just like knowing my weak disposition as a person. I probably,
exactly. That is my I would be living the Jack in the Box
right
lifestyle.
thing to do.
Would you say that is like your biggest motivation? The thing that stops you from doing that is that you'll balloon up in weight and you'll get super unhealthy. Is that what
I would say? More than that. More than that, I would say that I feel like 80% of the reason I do all this, 90% of the reason I do all this stuff is just to stop being fatter than I already am. But more than that, I'd say that, I'd say about 80% of my waking life is me thinking about food in some way and just trying to ebb the tide.
Here's to bring it all back around.
Food and titties.
That's
food
and titties. Here's the thing. To bring it all back around, the reason
I don't even care about titties anymore. I just want burgers. I'm all over titties at this point.
I mean, you have titties yourself. There.
Exactly. Taken care of. Box checked.
But no, the reason I started lifting weights, period. Here's the thing. It was back when I was early high school. The reason I started lifting weights, period, is I saw Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman, went on to the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and he was super jacked and all that, took his clothes off in a little Speedo. And when Jay Leno asked him about what his diet was, he's like, oh, I eat whatever I want, hamburgers and all that stuff. And I think he might have been joking there. I wasn't sure, but I took it seriously.
Of course.
I thought, wait a second, so I don't have to diet if I lift weights. Therefore, I'll start lifting weights. Sure enough, that's not true at all, but I believe that for a long enough period of time, like a year and a half, I really believe that I just ingrained the habit of lifting and haven't stopped lifting.
That makes sense. I mean, for me, I do this thing where I remind myself that even though it's going to taste good, I'm going to feel like fucking dog shit for, a day or two afterwards if I have, that sort of explosive, just go balls to the wall with whatever I want to eat type moment.
I'm not the finely tuned machine that you are. I'm sorry to say.
And I mean, and the other side of that is also like, I this is gonna sound great. I wake up in the morning and I can see my abs throughout the day. Like I have abdominals that I can see, and
I worked to complain about it.
I worked really fucking hard to get there, and I feel like any fucking moment
it's gonna go away.
I'm gonna have like one too many Reese's peanut butter cups, and it's fucking gone. And just years of pain and suffering and sweat and sacrifice.
It was right there.
And it's not like they look great. I don't look like a games athlete. They're not fucking, but like in the right lighting.
Some side lighting, and if you turn the right way.
Yeah, and if I catch myself flexing.
One time I saw an oblique for a second.
How fast? That's the most motivation. That's the best motivation on fucking
If I
planet.
can help scare you onto this path even more, I can tell you this, which is I was probably about 27. I was always, and this is why I've been trying to clean up more now, I was always, even into my mid to late 20s, was even significantly thinner than I am now, like significantly thinner. Just was always, as much as I put on a lot more muscle mass in recent years because I started taking my lifting a bit more seriously, I was like a 195 to 210 guy instead of like a 255 guy.
Damn, dude.
So I was running and doing other things, but here's the thing. I let go one time. It was really easy. I let go for about 6 months, maybe more, when I got divorced. And it was just all fuck it. Just fucking burgers and whatever. Because I knew my body, I thought, and I knew that like I could balloon, because I had like, say when I got married, I put on 20 pounds. I was like, all right, well, I'm done being fat. And then I would just clean up my diet, and then all of a sudden the 20 pounds would just fall back off. So I knew that I had done that a couple times, like, just gone ape shit for a little while, put on 20 pounds, fuck it, cleaned up my diet, and then my young 20s body would just take 25 pounds off by just cleaning up a little bit, eating less carbs or something, And so this time, after I got divorced, I remember I was just all fuck it, and it was like just beer and blah. And so I like ballooned up to like 230. So then I just said, all right, I'm tired of being 230, time to be 195 again, cleaned up my diet. That needle did not move. It got stuck. I got stuck. I just got slightly too big, and I got stuck in the tube of fatness, like in Willy Wonka with the fat kid in the tube full of chocolate. I just got stuck, and it never went below that again, like ever.
Similar.
I literally would starve myself. Eat no carbohydrates, eat nothing, and I just could not go back down below 230 ever again. So it was like, fuck it, and so I started powerlifting.
That's the bottom now.
That's the bottom now. And then I started weightlifting. I remember when I joined Eastside Elite, I was like 235, and I was like, all right, time to get back down again. And instead, I just put on 30 pounds of muscle. When I joined Eastside, I was working out 6 days a week and cleaned up my diet, and I went from 235 to 265. So,
well,
anyway.
I mean, I feel like there isn't enough people having like real talk about nutrition and their relationship with food.
Yeah.
Like too much of it is, oh yeah, fuck it, you just go paleo, and then 8 months later you have abs and night vision. That's the way it works. Congratulations,
I mean,
you
that
have
is
that
true,
now.
But
right. Well, no one has ever done 8 months.
The night vision part. The night vision part.
Right, yeah.
But it's refreshing to hear the whole like, yeah, well, I turned 28 and suddenly my fucking body was like, you know what? You'll never be under 200 pounds again. Congratulations.
Ever.
Unless you want to lose a limb.
Yeah.
It's like we can cut a leg off.
Unless you get cut in half.
Identical scenario for me, by the way, to Kyle, except just scaled up a bit. For me, it's 300 pounds. 300 pounds is something that is actually the last time I weighed under 300 pounds was shortly after I started working at Flo, which is about 3.5 years ago at this point. It was like right there, I was just barely under 300 pounds. Not a hint of a whisper of coming close to that since then.
Mm-hmm. Is that a goal? Like, do you want to be under 300 pounds?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Kyle, do you want to be under 240 again?
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, the number to me doesn't matter. I know that being strong is important to me, but I also know that there's a lot of bread dough around my middle that I would like to get rid of. So wherever the needle ends up at the end of that, I don't care. But so long as I can, again, get back to that point where I'm squatting over 400 and I'm deadlifting over 500, I could care so long as I could maybe have a little bit less meat around the midsection of my body. But I agree with you about the real talk thing, because so much of the discourse that you hear about weight loss and about diet is, you have to understand, is like irrelevant to a lot of people out there who are trying actively to lose weight and who are trying actively to clean up their life, because truthfully, everyone is very different, and some people just get the short end of the fucking stick and they have to do more, and then at the same time they shouldn't be given permission to eat poorly by some skinny person who's never ever been fat before.
Yeah.
It's like you should not, like, I remember in my early 20s like going on to like seeing an interview with Chris Spieler. And like Spieler was like, pretty much after every workout I eat Chipotle and all that. And I was just like, well, if Chris Spieler eats Chipotle, I guess I can too.
Oh, don't forget Neil Maddox eats donuts after every eats donuts. The only truth I would say to the easy solution, just eat paleo and then 8 months should be blah 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 blah. That is good enough, I would say, and I know from personal experience, sort of, to stave off horrendous morbid obesity, type 2 diabetes. There, you can prevent that by just eating paleo or just eating low carb. That said, for people who get the short end of the stick, the end result of that is not abs. The end result of that is just being pretty chubby.
Right, like healthy-ish.
Healthy-ish, a chubby healthy.
Right.
Yeah. But to get from chubby healthy to have abs is
That's a fucking marathon. That's a different world. Yeah, that's a different world.
Yeah.
And I think this is interesting because you mentioned, Kyle, that you're kind of looking at, hey, like I don't mind the aesthetic aspect of it, like what I'm looking for, but the strength aspect of it is really important. And that was one of the things that I would always tell people, like, hey, set a goal that's performance oriented, and you will hit that goal and have the aesthetics like 85% of the time, unless you're like, I want to squat 400 pounds, so you just start chugging a gallon of milk every day and doing nothing but squats. Then you're going to squat 400 and be huge. But it's like, hey, I want to squat 400 pounds, and you're actually sort of like actively trying to be healthy at the same time, you'll have the aesthetic come along with it, or at least generally move in the right direction while looking at performance. And I was at Garage Strength, Dane Miller's gym. He coaches a bunch of badass weightlifting guys. He has a couple like national champions in like the youth and university world, and he also most recently coached Nori Vardanian at the Olympic trials, and has coached him in the past like a couple of years, which, by the way, we have to talk about Nori in a second. But he uses this thing at his gym. He has a thing called the grinder board where he has these like measures of strength. Now these are kind of top end. These are pretty extreme. So and that's shown by the fact that at his gym there's only like less than a dozen. Most of these have less than 5 women who have been able to hit these, and less than 5 or 6 men who have been able to hit them. But he uses these measures: 1.6 times body weight or 1.4 times body weight for women clean, which is, I mean, that's pretty hefty. At 200 pounds, you're clean 320 pounds, right? That's big. Back squat 2 1/4 body weight and 1.8 for women, which is also pretty big. Like these are extremes, right? These are deadlift 2.5 times body weight, 2.2 for women. Bench double body weight, which is like just sounds like a fucking joke. Like thinking about benching double body
weird.
weight.
I've never quite made it there myself. I could cut off my legs.
1.4 body weight for women. Curl up, which I'm assuming is like a weighted chin. 2/3 body weight added on.
Added on.
Okay. Snatch 1 1/4 body weight, or 1.1 for women.
Cool.
Front squat double body weight.
Of course.
Obviously. And 1 2/3 for women. Press, and I always thought the body weight press was legit. He has 1 1/3 and 1 body weight, 1 times body weight for women. I was like, women's 1 times body weight. Who the fuck does that?
No one.
Who can do that? I can barely press my. I spent months. Like I spent an entire.
Is this the lifting style? Hip whip press there? Or is
no,
this
like he's
press?
legit talking just like. Strict. And there it goes, like military press style.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking big. 1 1/3 body weight is a big press.
A big old press. Yeah.
He's saying you basically should be able to strict press more than your snatch.
I do strict press more than my snatch.
That's true, actually.
I don't strict press anywhere fucking near my snatch.
The key is having a really bad snatch. Like if you can't snatch more than 135, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. So I mean, those are. I'll write those down in the description here so people can see it. And
nice.
And it's just an interesting sort of like format of, hey, here are some very extreme. I wouldn't say they're very extreme, but those are like you've mastered body weight to strength ratio at that point. Like if you have those things, you're pretty much like stronger than 99% of the world.
That's another reason I want to lose weight, is just so I can get back to having better percentages.
Yeah, that body weight to strength ratio is really important. In the long term, that's really important for like heart health over the course of your entire life. But it's also just cool to be able to like meet some of those really interesting ratios. Like you should be able to chin body weight plus external weight more than you bench press.
Say that one more time.
So I weigh let's say 200 pounds.
Okay.
And I can do, let's say, 100-pound weighted chin up.
Cool.
Right. Okay. That total weight is 300 pounds. That number should be more than what I can bench.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally there already.
Right. Yeah. So like you're the basically saying your back needs to be stronger than.
Hey, I can chin up just my body weight more than I can bench. So I can do one.
So you're already there.
I can do one chin up.
You're already there,
and that's more than I can
fantastic.
bench. Exactly.
And those are like really interesting sort of things that have been found over the years of like looking at numbers, right?
Well, the funny thing is, like, I remember when I first achieved a 2 times body weight deadlift was when I had a 400-pound deadlift and I weighed in the 190s, and then later on I re-achieved to a 2 times body weight deadlift, but it was 100 pounds heavier of a deadlift than the first time that I had done. So when I got 400, it was 2 times body weight, and probably slightly under. But certainly when I was deadlifting 500 pounds, it was just over 2 times body weight. So.
I mean, I don't know. I think those are really good ways of looking at skill and strength goals. And those are good ways of also sort of focusing on a different prize, because sometimes when we focus on aesthetics for your training and your nutrition, it becomes really like one note, and it becomes really, you live and die by what you see, and that's really painful. Whereas you can PR something and be like, oh fuck, this is awesome.
That being said, I honestly think I should start paying a little bit more attention to body fat composition and aesthetics, just because I feel like I've become too obsessed with the number on the scale, which can get really confusing if you're lifting heavy weights and trying to lose weight at the same time, especially if you're coming back from a period of like not training, which is kind of what I've been doing, lately, because and as I said earlier, I'm not so much interested in the number that's on the scale, so long as I'm not all that fat and I'm still strong. But at the same time, I have all sorts of weird notebooks over the years that are just so confused of just like dieting, but then putting on 8 pounds, but I was also weightlifting at the same time and just not really sure what any of it means.
My goal for sure right now is just to lose weight. I don't give a shit about performance at all, which is why I'm doing the Arnold lifts.
Right.
And
hypertrophy.
And I'm on cut 3.5 of the RP thing.
So, yeah, and I think to speak to Kyle's thing is, I used to use these 3 questions. I would say, do you feel good? Do you look good? Are you performing well? Right, so if like the answer to those things are
no, and no.
Right, so there's your measure. Like the scale actually will not tell you any useful information.
Listen, I feel awful all the time. I'm hungover in the morning even when I haven't been drinking. I look like garbage. I just look like a stack of hairy marshmallows when I take my shirt off. And in terms of performance, I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I can't do anything. I can't run around. I couldn't run around this podcast table without stopping twice. So, no, and no.
So then there you go. Like,
pretty clear and definitive.
So what does the scale? What information does the scale tell you that those 3 questions doesn't tell you? At that point, if you have
that, I should take more C4.
If you have the answer to those questions and you're like, fuck it, whatever I'm doing is working, then you're just fucking delusional. Absolutely delusional.
That is true. That is true. I'd like to think I'm progressing in a positive direction.
Yeah, no, I mean, my conclusion of my overall fitness here is that the only thing that matters is reducing the weight on the scale, and that's it. Why? Because what is preventing me from actually doing like all the CrossFit things that I should be doing? The fact that I weigh over 300 pounds. Yeah. If I don't care how much muscle mass I lose, if I can get to like 240 pounds, I could probably do a muscle up. I've never done a muscle up. If I got to like 240 pounds, I could probably do a muscle up.
How is your situation going? Like your training and nutrition, are you losing like the pound a week that they talk about?
Well, keep in mind I'm just coming off Fantastic Fest.
There's always something.
There's
always fucking something.
Today this morning I got to precisely my pre-Fantastic Fest weight.
Congratulations.
So I've lost the full 8.5 pounds I gained from Fantastic.
That's actually not bad. Fantastic Fest ended last week.
Exactly. It's been exactly 1 week ago. So it's taken 1 week.
What do you weigh right now?
321.2.
So by the end of the year, it's October. Let's see, we have October, November, December.
My goal is to bust down below 300 pounds by the end of the year. That is my goal.
Yeah.
So I'm on cut 3.5 of the RP thing, which is cut 3 and reducing the protein.
Then some.
And reducing the protein considerably. So I have 3 months to do it. The goal is to, and I will reward myself. Most people go on diets in the new year. My goal is to hit maintenance. Just do maintenance for a good 3 months.
Like move up
January,
to cut 3.
February. No, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Move up to cut 3 there.
Nice.
Just enjoy, ride high on that cut 3, that glorious cut 3.
I hear you guys have been getting really high on fucking pre-workout recently.
A little bit. I tried. I bought C4 after our discussion last time because of course, why wouldn't I after our discussion last time? And my experience of it was interesting because So this was my first week back of like deciding I was going to do like a real CrossFit workout. So on Monday I did the Invictus Fit workout of the day. Actually, I think it might have been the performance workout, but it was like just pull-ups, wall ball shots, and kettlebell swings. And so first of all, just that felt awesome to do. It felt actually terrible because I didn't realize that I was coming back off of 10 days off for Fantastic Fest. So
that's not the time to start a hard thing.
But so it was a huge, like I got 15 reps into that workout and was gut checked by just, exhaustion. So did the whole thing, but, good to give everyone an update. Knees felt great. Even my bad knee felt great doing the wall ball shots, felt great on the pull-ups, felt great doing the kettlebell swings, but was just wrecked sore the next day because my body was just not used to doing any of that kind of stuff and coming from about 10 days off for the festival. So the next day, rather than doing the Tuesday Invictus programming because I couldn't stand up out of a chair, I decided I was going to go home and row because I have a rowing machine at home.
And to get motivation.
To get motivation, I went and bought
snorted
C4.
Some C4.
Exactly. So I went home, got it, shook it up, did the whole thing, chugged the C4. I got real fucking tingly.
Yeah!
Real fucking tingly, and then I fell asleep on the couch.
What? How is that possible?
Listen, do not underestimate my laziness, Armin. When an unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
All right, one of two things is happening there. Either, number one, you have the most comfortable couch on the face of the fucking planet.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
Or two, you drink so much goddamn coffee throughout the day that the caffeine literally was like, oh, it's a time for a nap then, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe I should up the dosage just because I do drink. I had 2 cups of coffee since this podcast started. That's not a joke. But and I felt something, but I got distracted by. I drank, I put on my workout stuff, I took out the rower, it was all set up, I drank the thing. I was like, first of all, by the way, the tingling stuff is bullshit because I drank it and a few minutes later my fucking forehead and face were all tingling and my fingers were tingling and I'm just like, I don't like anything about this. That's how you know it's working. Especially because I know it's useless now. If I didn't know that piece of information, I maybe could have tolerated it a bit better.
Here, by the way, I have also been taking C4, although I think I got there's like the 2 different versions of C4. I think I got just the pussy version, the version that just has less beta-alanine in it, whatever.
What a little bitch.
Exactly. Yeah. That said, here's the only difference I've noted is I warm up by rowing every workout there, and I can judge how well my workout is going to go based on how easy that row is, what the pace is, without even really trying. And could be just because could be a placebo effect or whatever, but I've definitely noticed that just on that opening row there, I can pretty easily, on the first few pulls, and just getting below the 130 pace there for a bit. And it's like, yeah, maybe that's C4.
Like you're twitching while you're rowing. Well, listen, you need to take more than whatever Kyle is taking, and definitely way more than I would take, because you are 1.5 of me. So you definitely need a higher dose. I also have had a pre-workout experience, and I stopped taking pre-workout 2 years ago after I was like fucking mainlining it was basically C4, but I would go to GNC with my training partner before every workout, and we would buy like either the pre-shaked version of them in the bottles, or we would get a new one and we just like work our way through it to the point where I was taking like 4 or 5 servings of it because we had been taking it for so long.
4 or 5 servings before one workout.
Yeah. We had taken it for so long that we needed like that much caffeine.
You just gave me license to really experiment.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea. So, but I mean, you guys are bigger than me. You might need it anyway. Anyway, so I stopped taking pre-workout after I realized that I was living off of pre-workout, and this past weekend on Friday morning, I went to a Soul Cycle class, which, by the way, was fucking awesome. I loved it. It was so fucking cool. It was like like the lights were out, there were candles, it was fucking EDM music. I was like pumping with the music. There's sweat going everywhere. Anyway,
this was in Austin though.
It was at the Domain. At the Domain, and they're gonna open one in downtown too. So fucking get on that. Anyway,
dude, that's a great piece of content. The whole Scales Needed podcast goes and does Soul Cycle.
You guys, yes, you guys would fucking die. It would be so good. And it was full of like the female instructor. She was like, they want you to fail. What are you gonna do to prove them wrong? Unts. It was fucking so cool. There's a point where she goes, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can either turn up the resistance and make this day your bitch or something like that, or you can just not. I was like, wait, hold on a second. That is not the way that works. Anyway, it was beautiful. I did Soul Cycle. So before the Soul Cycle, on the way up there, my fiance Katie and I, we split her one serving of pre-workout.
Yeah.
And during that fucking Soul Cycle, there was a moment where I like sat back on the bike, grabbed my towel to like wipe some sweat off of my face, and I wiped the sweat off my face. And you know, like the towels are like coarse. It like kind of like scratched my forehead, and my entire face started itching like I had been fucking taken meth. And
I'm on fire.
I caught myself like very aggressively, just rubbing my face raw with this fucking towel for like at least 20 seconds. Just and I finally like put it down. I was like, why is my face so itchy? What did I do? What did I do to myself? And then it hit me that I had half of one serving of whatever like pussy fucking vegan pre-workout that Katie bought from Whole Foods. Like, I'm basically saying I'm a little bitch now when it comes to if I took one serving of C4, I would shit fire and like burp lightning for hours.
How much? And let me ask you this. Do you drink caffeine over the course of the day?
I do. I usually start the day off with you know a cup or 2 cups of like cold brew.
Of cold brew, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
but I try and stop drinking if I'm gonna have caffeine in the afternoon, it's like before 3.
Interesting.
Otherwise, I get
because I will drink coffee all the way through probably 5, and sometimes I don't even know how many fucking cups a day.
Dude, I see you chugging coffee all day long.
Well, it's not. I mean, I go to the coffee shop every day before work and usually drink 3 or 4 large cups of coffee there, and then when I'm here, I have my fancy thermos mug, which keeps it all nice and warm, and I just fill it up with Keurig coffee whenever it's empty.
Really nice Keurig.
So whenever it's like if it becomes empty, I then fill it.
Yeah,
and that's you guys treat coffee the way that I would treat a snack cupboard. If we had a snack cupboard at the office, it would be like, oh, my hand is not full of sour gummy bears.
It's fine. Because it's paleo. It's good for you, Armin.
Right.
Because black coffee is paleo.
Obviously.
So I think what you're saying, Armin, is that because I drink this much caffeine, it's probably healthier that I have 4 scoops of C4 before every workout.
Yes. In fact, you should be mixing your C4 with coffee.
Coffee, yes.
You see,
stirring it with an American flag.
It's called a Bloody Mary.
This is all conflicting also with my desire to be cheap, though. That is the problem.
Yes.
One of those things
pre-workout is not
30,
cheap.
Yeah, that's 30 bucks for the thing, and it has 30 servings, so it's about $1 a serving. I'm not having more than one fucking serving.
No. At your size, if you wanted to get fucking wired the way I did at Soul Cycle on Friday, you're gonna have to take like week's worth of C4.
See, now I question whether or not Soul Cycle was cool or you were just really tweaked out.
The only way to find out is for us to get super high on pre-workout and go to Soul Cycle.
In all fairness, they do put a little bit of ecstasy in the water there just to make sure this is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to touch everybody.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know.